So everybody keeps talking about AI and vibe coding. And as somebody who's done a lot of software development in my time, I really wanted to figure out ways to become a little bit more efficient. If you've ever built an application, you know it can take days, weeks, sometimes months for some of these really complex applications, things that have a lot of business logic, a lot of technical underpinnings. So anything that helps me be a little bit more efficient in my code and something that's going to produce code that's really good is going to pique my interest. So I kept hearing about Claude, and some of you may have followed me on LinkedIn and seen that I've been talking about Anthropic and how great Claude is. And I have to tell you, like, I truly love it. I think it's a great tool. It's wonderful. It's produced some amazing code, and I've created some pretty cool demos. And I'm going to create another video later on that's going to show you how I created a very involved demo application. It was pretty neat. But I wanted to show you what Claude was. So this is Claude from Anthropic. It's their LLM. It's their interface to their LLM. And it's pretty neat because it provides so much information. It's, if you've heard of ChatGPT or Grok or similar models, this is what it does. It goes through and analyzes your prompt and then actually gives you some pretty compelling results. So if I do something like, all right, let's go in here and say, build me a professional looking to-do app, and that, oh, if I could spell today, that doesn't have a backend. Let's see what happens, all right? So I'll run through it. And here's the thing about it, all right? If you're going to do something really involved, obviously going to take a lot of time. But for something like this, I chose something that was really small. Why? Because in the interest of time, I don't want to keep you all here 30 minutes. But if you notice, immediately it's generating code. And I believe it's using React. I can tell by what it's using here. There's some token delimiters and curly brackets that it's using React for some of this stuff. When I did it and I tested it out, oh, there it goes. It was 30 seconds to build a to-do app. How many of you can say that you built a to-do app in 30 seconds? This is really cool. So if I said something like, get groceries, and I'll add this. Yep, there it is. And the cool thing is I can check it off. I can edit it if I want to. I can save it. I can delete it. And this is all done for me. This is cool. And at the end, Claude will even say, here's your to-do app and here's the code. I can look at the code right here. That's amazing. That floors me. And so as somebody, again, who wants to have efficiency and wants to say, can I get 80 to 90% of the code done and then go through it and try to analyze it to make sure that it's behaving the way I expected? That's really interesting stuff. So from a code and software development perspective, this is really interesting. And in fact, speaking of Claude Code, they actually created an API. And that API is accessible through a Node.js NPM module. So you go ahead and install this, and then you can actually link it into your terminal. You can reference it from your terminal and generate code. You can put this into Visual Studio Code if you want to, or Cursor, whatever IDE you really like, and it'll help you generate code on the fly. Now, because I do spend a lot of time in Visual Studio Code, I wanted to make sure that they actually had an extension. And what do you guess? They do. So there it is. If you're a Visual Studio Code developer like myself, they have it right there. Now, I also do security. I do both network security and application security pen testing. And so I'm always on the hunt for new things coming out. So as I'm going through LinkedIn, I stumbled upon this post by my buddy, Mike Gualtieri. Now, I wanted to make sure I pronounce it right. So he says that he pronounced it Gualtieri, and I can't pronounce it the way he does. He just does a great job of doing it, but obviously it's his name. But the one thing that stood out to me was he was analyzing malware using Claude. And I'm like, wait a minute. How did he analyze malware using Claude? How is that even possible? And he was talking about, I vibe coded an MCP server, and then he ran an experiment to use Claude Code to analyze some malware. And I'm like, okay, I have got to figure out how he did this. So those that ask shall receive. So I'd like to introduce you to Mike. Hey, Mike, thanks for joining us, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, right?
No, I appreciate it. Hopefully that was a good intro. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly.
It's all good.
I don't know. Having a last name Bango, I try to pronounce people's names correctly because, you can only imagine what I had to endure. But yeah. So Mike, I saw this post and I know you and I chatted, and I was like floored because as somebody who has seen malware, and I'm not a reverse engineer by any means. I'm not a malware analyst, but I know that takes a lot of work to do. There's specialized tools. There's things that you have to know. You have to understand a lot of the binary code under the hood to really analyze it. So when I saw this, I was like, I got to ping Mike. So tell me a little bit more about you and tell me about what this means, and then let's dig into the code a little bit.
Yeah. Oh man, there's so much to unpack, and I have like so much even just from your intro. So, hey everyone, my name is Mike Gualtieri. I've been in security and software engineering for like 20 years, more than that now. Currently, my role is that I lead security engineering at a company called Netlify, and I report to our CISO, Mark Dorsey. I've been at Netlify for about 2.5 years. And if you aren't familiar with our company, go check us out. We're a large-scale web hosting company, heavily involved in the AI ecosystem, vibe coding ecosystem. You can spin up account seconds on Netlify, and a few more seconds, get your new vibe coded application out. You don't have to vibe code. You can put like your own hand code in there and deploy that out in Netlify too. So anyways, that's what I do on a day-to-day basis. But, Netlify is a startup. And so I have my hands full in so many different avenues. Like, I'm not a malware analyst either by trade, I guess. There's folks that specialize in all this. And it's certainly what we're going to talk about today does not make lightly on the intense specialized work there is out there for folks who do this for a living, who really have to get into binary stuff. But we can still have some fun with some malware samples here. So, my role, has me doing everything from vulnerability management to detection and response. I get to do some internal pen testing. That's how I know Ray, talking about offensive security stuff for years online. And we have to deal with a lot of fraud and abuse stuff that comes through our door. Everything from people trying to stand up phishing sites, general scams, whatever it is, illegal content. And of course, because we essentially offer a platform as a service, so free compute cycles, right? You can spin up a free account on Netlify. And I think we...
Wait, hold on. I just want you to know, Netlify did not sponsor this video, okay? So, but clearly Mike is in love with his employer, so totally get it, Mike. Don't worry about it. Go ahead.
No, yeah, it's not promoted content here, but I guess we're a startup, so we always feel I can't help but bang the drum a little bit, but sure. I mean, totally you can spin up a free account, and because of that, a fraction of a percent of customers are going to do abusive things. And one of those abusive things is crypto mining. Now we're extremely good at shutting that down. So I would say if you're listening to this and be like, oh, I really would like to try that out, don't. And also you're going to be caught instantly. We're going to ban your account and all that type of stuff. So, but that doesn't mean that a lot of folks don't try this and send me free malware samples all the time, because, if you're executing code in my environment, then I can see what you're executing in my environment. So that was kind of the impetus. So I've been interested. So I actually got really, really interested in the crypto mining space about a year ago, because there was this one particular aggressive campaign that was just trying over and over and over and over aggressively to mine cryptocurrency on our platform. And like I said, detected it, got them shut down, but they just kept coming back, and so on. So I decided to do a bit of an analysis in this campaign, and my boss Mark was like, "Yeah, go for it. Dig into it." So I was able to put together kind of like a manually at the time. I actually tried to use AI at the time. Didn't really help me too much. I was able to put together this whole like kind of threat actors network here. And there was wallets and the services they used and the proxies they were using and the GitHub accounts that they were operating out of. And pulling back the Git history, what types of commands they were running, and all that type of stuff. And it took a decent amount of, roll up the sleeves work and just trying to figure out what was going on. It was super fascinating. So I was working on that just about exactly a year ago from now. I put out a report on, I think in January. That's when I finalized things and got it out there. So, okay, we had the threat model out there. And then I started to think, well, AI kept on picking up more and more. So the initial analysis, it didn't really work too well. But then I did this kind of experiment where I took one of those samples and I force fed it into Chat GPT and just like base 64 decode this for me and tell me what it does. Do this, do that. And it produced something interesting. And at the time, I think this was like, I say it in the LinkedIn post, but I want to say it was like March or April. And it was kind of interesting. I was thought, hey, this is kind of like working with maybe like a real junior analyst, do these rudimentary tasks for me, get back to me, and kind of sped that up. So I was like, that's pretty cool. And then MCP servers hit the scene and everybody had to do some type of MCP server. So I got really excited. I was like, well, let me see if I can do an MCP server that helps me with the malware analysis here. So same sample, did the same thing. And I kind of got to a better result. And I ended up, after a lot of tinkering and fudging around with like Claude, I came up with the MCP server and it produced a decent result, but it was like so fragile. Initially, I was thinking I could do a conference talk and I could do this, look at this cool thing I made. And it was just like too fragile to, I thought, okay, interesting experiment, done. But then recently I've been doing a ton of vibe coding, and like I would say like within the last year, I'm a long-term software engineer. I've made a lot of software from scratch. I was really skeptical about AI generated code, like going back a year and a half ago. But now I've grown to the point where I produce the code with AI first through Claude Code. Specifically, that's my favorite tool right now. Produce the code and then refine it later. So, and going through that constant process of producing the code and refining it. And it's accelerated my personal development like by a lot. I don't want to say like 10x because that's like such a cliche, but like if you want to be a cliche, I mean, I'm producing code and software now far faster than I ever have in the past.
Are you saying you're a 10 times AI developer? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I guess that never meant I'm only 10x if I'm with AI. I think the 10x guys are saying they're 100x now. Just silly, funny. But yeah, it makes me more efficient. Let's keep it at that.
I love that though. But here's the thing: that's what AI is really meant for. It's meant for being complementary and helping you be more efficient. And so you're hitting it exactly. You're hitting that sweet spot. And that's what I think everybody's excited about. Everybody's excited about hitting that sweet spot where you can produce more, but still have the ability to contribute to it. And that's the key thing: the ability to bring in your subject matter expertise and say, let's shape this in a way that it truly caters to what we're doing. But don't, let's leave the trudgery and the heavy lifting to this automation that will get me from point A to point Z in half the time or 3/4 of the time that it will used to take, so.
Yeah, and it's just a new development paradigm. If you aren't trying it out at all, try it out. If you aren't allowed to, like some companies still are not allowing this on for, as part of your work. So if you're interested, try it out at home. I think it is a skill you have to build up, right? Because you have to think about those prompts you're generating. And you're going to understand pretty quickly what works and what doesn't work and what needs refined, because AI is literally just doing what it's told, no more nor less. It's intelligently doing that, but if you tell it to do something, that's what it does. If you don't tell it to add security control, by the way, it's like, I bet your to-do app there is probably not super secure. That's a whole other topic.
What are you talking about? My code is always secure.
It's hardened software. You can make it hardened, and there's like a whole emerging field of AI guardrails. It's something I'm super passionate about. I just did an internal talk at Netlify as part of our security training awareness about how to get Claude Code to add in good security like guardrails by default. And I got some results there. And I'm hoping to turn that maybe into a conference talk down the road. But
I can definitely see that as a conference talk. I think that you're going to get a lot of attendance on that one because people are definitely struggling with it. And that's why AI red team has become such a hot thing, because they're finding things left and right. And it's not only testing the systems out, you have to be able to take it a step further and saying, how can we test the things that are being output by the system? So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good time to be an AppSec.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I'm more of a cloud security guy. I like tinkering with OSs and stuff, but AppSec is going to blow up because of all this vibe code stuff out there.
No, for sure. How many developers? Well, what was that whole thing that came out on Twitter? Some person said, I vibe coded this app and it only took me like a day to do, and he put it in production, and then he got the attention of people he probably didn't want, and they're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, it was that. I think I know. It was like a guy on Twitter or X, whatever you call it now, and he's like, "Oh, I made this." He's like, "Oh, I had this problem. Oh no, this happened," and then like the whole thing broke within a series of weeks, and then he just took it down from the App Store or whatever. And I mean, I'm kind of grinning a little bit, but these are the real problems. So, like right now, anybody in the world can be a developer. You want to make software? You got a cool idea? Make it. Sign up for you could use Claude Code, you could use Lovable, you can use Bolt. I mean, there's a lot of tools out there. I probably didn't mention like a dozen other really great ones. There's a lot of good tools. You can make an app really quick. I think you still need to think about how to build software though. Right? There's more into it than just like a prompt and a cool thing. You need to think of structurally, how do you tell the AI good engineering practices, like separating like client and server, communications and trust, and there's so much that goes on into it. So that part's still going there. So if you're a software engineer, there's still going to be a need for software engineers. You're going to be building software in the future, maybe not coding as much. That's my take on it. I don't even think it's that hot of a take anymore. It might have been hot like a year ago, but I think it's very clear this is where the industry is headed.
And I don't think it's a bad thing to not have to be doing all the coding. I think being a good architect and understanding software development principles and understanding the business side of the house is really important. And that's where I think some folks who become essentially that I guess I can't call it a polyglot, because polyglot, learning multiple languages, wouldn't be a polyglot, but people who are adaptable and can say, I can jump from the technical side of the house to discussing the architecture to presenting it to the folks who want to see the business value. Those are the ones that will continue to evolve and succeed. And you have to adapt. I mean, I think we've all gone through our levels of adaptation during our career. So this is just another phase, another wave. So with that, I am chomping at the bit to see the demo code. I'm sorry, code is code, man. So, and this is malware. I know you showed it to me a while back. So yes, and in all fairness, everybody, Mike gave me he gave me a personal tour of how he did it, and it freaked me out that he was doing it on his daily driver machine. A lot of people know that I will not run malware on any machine that I own. It has to be like a sanitized VM lockdown, because no. But yeah, Mike is a daredevil. So let's
so like the story. So I do have some guardrails on it now. I have everything isolated in a Docker container, which it's not isolation. Like if you're doing real deep malware analysis, like you should not, you have to have a segmented VM and all that type of stuff. In this case, I was very familiar with what the malware would do. And it's actually probably better termed as abuseware, right? It's not malware. It's not like a virus or a worm, or like, it's not going to phish anybody or steal creds. I'm very familiar with what the code is supposed to do, which is mine cryptocurrency, but it has all the same hallmarks of malware, where there's layers and layers of obfuscation. There's stages of execution, because they want it to look like something legitimate on your system. So I was like, oh, well, they must be building, their website on Netlify. It's like, no, it's not building. It's like executing some cryptocurrency. So that's where the similarities are. But yeah, I was showing this to Ray, just like a directory. I was like, this is fun, Ray. But
and internally, I'm like, oh no.
No, it was all qualified by me ahead of time.
I know.
No risk here. But I thought it was also, so you spoiled. Yeah, I wasn't going to go into that on the stream. Thanks, right? But I thought it would be bad form to actually do that live on like a YouTube stream where we're talking about good security practices. So in a good security practice, I did. Now it's enclosed inside a Docker container where we have a little more safety around. But again, if this thing did execute, the worst case that's going to happen, it's going to spike my CPUs up to 100% until I hit Control C, and it's going to send somebody a couple cents of cryptocurrency. I know their wallets are still in there. I didn't tamper with it. I just looked at it.
Yeah, the funny part is that it's just that's the difference. Like I can't. You have that level like of what it's going to do, and you're like, I'm going to do it because you know it. I have to have my sandbox, and then I'll have that my level. I'll let it explode my sandbox, but that's just me. So
Yeah. Now I will say now we can look at a couple samples today. I actually have some of the cryptocurrency one, but I actually also have a sample from the recent NX supply chain attack.
Okay.
So if folks aren't familiar with that was something NPM ecosystem was hit with a few of these supply chain attacks recently, and this one was aimed at stealing environment variables. So that is something I would not execute like randomly on my machine. I actually did an analysis of this. It's actually a really small file. It's like, I don't know, 100 lines of Node.js. That one, we'll go through it here, but I resaved it as like .defanged. I took out the exfil mechanism, which was uploading to GitHub. So I do, when I need to be cautious, but again, I executed that from a directory on my machine. Why? Well, I can see the code. I can read exactly what it's doing. And I know that I was familiar with it. So I knew the exfil method. So I just defanged the exfil method. There's nothing that's going to happen there.
Yeah.
And also we don't execute, like I'm not executing any of this code. That should be, we don't want to execute malware. We want to read it. We want to analyze it. It's just a way to do that quicker.
Got it. So, and in fact, your prompt will touch on that. So let's take a look at your prompt, because your prompt really did touch on that. Here, let's go there.
Okay. Yeah. So here's my terminal here in my little nifty Docker container. So, and the reason, by the way, I love Claude Code so much. So you highlighted how you can put in VS Code and stuff, but Claude Code can just run on the terminal. And that was the game changer for me, because I tried a few other AI code editors, but I'm a Vim programmer. I sit on the terminal. So I got this in Tmux. So my day is Tmux and Vim. If it's not like Excel, I mean, I'm either doing business stuff or I'm doing terminal stuff. But anyways, so that's why I'm on the terminal. But I got to set up ahead of time here just so we can see what the prompt looks like. I just we're going to feed this into Claude in a little bit. But we're going to use the same prompt for looking at all these malware samples. And none of this is all live. Like I looked at some of these in this way before, but we'll just see what it does. It might do the same thing. It might not. Maybe this will fail. I don't know. But it passed through a few times. I did it myself. I showed it to you, Ray, earlier. And now we're going to do it with some other things. We'll see how it fares. But all right, so the prompt is this. I'll just read it for folks if you're listening. So it says, this directory contains a crypto miner malware sample. Do not ever execute any code in this directory or subdirectories. Code should only be read. Analyze the crypto miner malware. Identify key execution stages, the flow of execution, obfuscation techniques, and cryptocurrencies mined. Include any key IOCs. If folks don't know what that means indicator of compromise. Prepare a threat intelligence report in Markdown format and write it to this directory. So pretty simple. I'm very, very explicit about do not execute. I say it like 3 times. This is malware. Don't execute it. Don't execute it. Don't execute it.
Yep.
And do some analysis. And I'm. This gets into prompt engineering a little bit, where I said, what works or doesn't work, right? I could have just said, make a threat intelligence report, and would have done something interesting. But I want to be a little opinionated about what I wanted to do. So that's why I'm saying, like it's going to be obfuscated. Expect that. Do something about it. I want to know certain things. Like I want to know execution stages. So I expect it to show me a stage 0, 1, 2. And I want to know the technologies being used. So that's why I talk about the cryptocurrencies mined. IOCs, that's always useful because we might want to use this report and then build up some detections on our end. So shall we go at it? Try this out?
I'd say go for it.
Yeah.
It's going to work. I know it's going to work.
Yeah, it will. And
but this is the part that really piqued my interest, because in your LinkedIn post, you said that you had it look into the directory and analyze the code. And I didn't understand about Claude Code because I hadn't really looked at it, right? So to me, Claude was this user interface on the web, and I'm like, how did you give access to Claude to your host system? Like, how did it get into a directory work and analyze it, or did you upload it somewhere and it interpreted? And I was like, and so that's why I was really piqued by my interest was piqued by this, and I was like, I got to ask Mike how he did it. So now when you showed it to me, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense now. Okay, got it.
Yeah. And when I first started with Claude, before, I think Claude Code maybe was out, or maybe it was, I don't know if it was out yet. I think it was just really new. I hadn't tried it out yet. Right. I was actually using Claude to write some code, and I cut and paste it into my terminal, and that gets old really quick. But that was, and then you blow your context window. It gets too many tokens, and then you lose everything and have to start over. Yeah, Claude Code is much better because it does all that automatically, and it's a software development tool, right? So instead of hacking Claude, the web UI, to make code, like, just do it here, and so much easier. So let me just explain what I did a little bit here. So in this directory, malware samples, I copied over some interesting malware that we've seen recently come through. So these are some GitHub repos that I was able to just clone their malware. So I'm picking on this one recently, and specifically this sample, because this guy pops up from time to time with this specific sample of late. So Netlify certainly isn't the only target of these folks. Any company that has some type of SaaS compute service or platform as a service is getting hit with these folks. In my threat analyst report I put out last year, that one particular crypto mining campaign, I was able to trace back to 2021 active. Now, they weren't on Netlify since 2021. They might have hit us prior to that particular time, but they've been mining little bits of cryptocurrency and a handful of wallets over time. It adds up over time. So it's certainly not like a company-specific problem. It's an industry-specific problem, and that's why I love to shine light on some of this, because anybody who works in like some type of CI/CD company, it's like, oh, well, what's your business? Remote code execution is a business. Please execute your code on my systems. If you work at a company like that, then you're going to be seeing this. I guarantee you saw this guy. So let's take a look. So I just copied it out just so I didn't taint my sample directory. I copied it out of this sample in this testing 2 thing. So let's fire up. We're just going to fire up Claude. It's that simple. Yes, proceed. Oh, actually, that was a real good thing there. It said, do you trust all the code in this directory? And you have to hit yes. Yes, I do. Oh, you know what? And what I didn't do was cut and paste out my my prompt. So this is live stuff, guys. All right, let me cut this out. Copy. Yeah, okay. Let's fire up Claude again. Do you trust it? Certainly do. Okay. Paste it in there. Okay. It's as simple as this. When you fire up Claude, you get this kind of UI here, and you just put a prompt in. If you tell it to make software, it's going to make software. We're going to tell it to do this. So let's see what happens. This will take a little bit to generate, several minutes. So we can talk about what it's doing or talk about life.
No, this is really interesting to me. I wonder how many other malware analysts are trying to do similar things. I have to assume that there's companies that are probably leveraging this same type of, I guess, process thinking to help them. I imagine they have to. It's like, how can you not? being able to get a full threat report, and again, I've been lucky that you gave me the demo ahead of time, so I've seen what it generates, and it's incredible. And so just removing some of the obfuscation, how much time do you think you save on that?
Oh dear, like I mean, picking one of these things apart, I mean, hours at the least. Okay. Oh, here's real quick. It's doing something interesting. When a lot of times when Claude's going to do something that may or may not be good, it's going to prompt you. Do you want to proceed? Yes or no. So you could tell it, like, don't ask me to, I could say, it's okay to run these SHAs 256 sums. Like, don't ask me that again. In this case, and when I'm doing vibe coding, I will sometimes let it have more leeway in what it edits, especially if it's something where I'm doing an experiment. I just wanted to generate something. I just do whatever you want to do in this directory. But since we are dealing with malware, again, this is a safeguard here. We want to just really be conscious about, before we proceed with something, that we hit yes. It's kind of like that Windows Vista thing. Like, are you sure you want your system to be hacked? Yes or no?
Well, think about what happened today. They were announcing those NPM modules. There was 10 of them that were compromised, and they were installing info stealers, and it was post-install hooks. So yeah, you say, hey, run this NPM module. It could just compromise your system. Yeah, so this is why it's important to have those guardrails, and I'm glad you showed it, because these are the things that are important for folks who are going to try this out, to know that you do have guardrails, but please take the moment to read through it. Don't just click yes, 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 without actually knowing what you're going to do next. So
yeah, unless you have like specific guardrails in place that would maybe help you on that case. I actually have another post I did recently was specifically about NPM supply chain security, and it basically puts those guardrails in place in place of NPM. So anytime you install or update an NPM package, it asked it to do. Well, actually, first off, it said never install NPM package that's older or younger than a week, right? Because a lot of these NPM supply chain issues, they hit the scene, they get detected really quick, within hours or definitely within a day. And then they cause a lot of damage in that time, but then they get removed. So if you can delay the installation of your package, then you will have a good safeguard there. So I had two safeguards. I asked it to not install anything younger than a week, and I asked it to review the code after it was installed for traces of malware. That was it. And I wasn't even opinionated about that. I was like, just if it looks like malware, let me know. And I fed it the NX supply chain sample as a test. Like, I had a clean project, and then I tainted a project with that sample. And then it found it, and it said, whoa, hey, it's trying to steal environment variables and all this stuff. Like, be really careful, like scrub your system immediately. And I knew it wasn't going to do that because I had defanged it. But yeah, that's a big problem.
That's impressive. So let's see, what does it say here? Do you want to create the crypto miner threat intelligence report in markdown format?
Yes. Yeah. And it said if my terminal's zoomed in, you should see it on my screen. My terminal's so big right now. It looks good on the stream. If the terminal is a regular size, you'd see actually a lot of the analysis of like what it actually did here. But let's hit. We're going to save it up. It's going to write it, and then we'll see what it actually produced.
I like that schlepping.
Yeah, it goes through and says interesting, cheeky comments.
Yeah, it's trying to be personal. Now, the one thing you have to remember, and I just remembered that I have to go back and say thank you for the results on creating that to-do app, because I have to make sure that my AI overlords are, they're happy with me. So when they take over, I'm one of those people that actually thank them for their work.
Yeah, I say please to it sometimes, and then I actually stopped doing that. I used to do it a lot, and like, this is silly. I actually do encourage it if it did something good. So yesterday I was working on a piece of software, and it was having problems fixing what I needed to have it fixed. And I was like, no, it doesn't work. No, it doesn't work. No, it doesn't work. Then it finally worked. I was like, this is perfect. So I wanted it to know, like, hey, this was actually the result I wanted all along. And then I also told it to clean up all the junk it added for the other one. So I kind of added a little command into that. I don't know, like, to be determined if that's useful or not. But I think if you can encourage it, that this thing that you just put in your context window was actually the thing that I really wanted, it can help it be better over time.
It's supposed to. That's what they said, and that's why they give you the little context. There's a context prompt in the Pro plan, and I signed up for the Pro plan. They give you a context prompt, and it says, enter information here that you'll feel is relevant towards whatever you're trying to do. And I guess it uses it to craft more of the outputs that you wanted, something more either along your style, or I don't know. I would imagine, like, I've read of systems that they will analyze your code base and learn your style and start building in that style, which makes total sense. So
I've tried to do it with writing samples where I feed it some of my old blog posts and stuff to help me flesh out something quicker. I feel like it can produce good written text, but I don't necessarily know if it's explicitly my style. So that's something, but it makes good code. So again, I'm going to exit Claude right now, but if we were able to zoom out a little bit, it says all the interesting things it did here. It even starts showing like some critical IOCs and stuff, but let's see, this should all be in the report now. So yes, it is. Well, at least we have a report. So let's see what we got here. So, okay. Report details analysis of a sophisticated crypto miner sample. It sounds like a company. Like it's is there ever a non-sophisticated hacker out there? They're so sophisticated.
No, I like what it says right there. It points out the typo squatting, which is interesting. I zeroed in on that, and it's true. I was like, Olma, instead of Olama. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, and this takes it takes some of that code for Olama, and it's commented out in there, but it's supposed to be like a detractor, right? I don't know if it actually fools anybody, but it talks about the coin here, Raven coin. So this is interesting, and one of the reasons I want it to tell me the types of coins being mined is because with Netlify, we offer free compute service, but not like GPU compute. Like it's like regular CPU compute. So the types of cryptocurrencies we'd see mined are like stuff like Ravencoin, Monero, a bunch of others. They're slipped my mind right now. In my report last year, there was 3 specifically that were being hit really hard at the time. So,
and that's because they leverage more CPU. They're capable of leveraging CPU processing power instead of GPU.
The mining algorithm is specifically tuned for CPU for whatever reason. Yeah,
got it.
Okay, so that was just a little executive summary. It sounds actually pretty good there. So let's go down. So we have a little malware overview, key execution stages. So this is what I start really liking here. All right, stage 1. Stage 2, stage 3, this is awesome. So we talk about it being deployed here. It's there's a legitimate package JSON. It's going to pull this thing down. There's fake AI code. We already knew that. That was that fake Olama stuff. Then it's going to load this app.js. It gives us a SHA for this. Is that useful or not? I don't. In my opinion, these types of SHAs are a dime a dozen. They aren't super useful, but it's here if we wanted it. And then this is where we start to get interesting, right? This is exactly what it's doing. So there's a hidden directory .cache, and it has this data set .text here. This is actually what kicks it off. So app basically just has a bunch of obfuscated code in it that really doesn't do much, but then it executes this. So there's a lot of red herrings to throw you off of like what is actually going on in this file, but this gives it all away. And then it's using a val. A val itself is not like a harmful thing, but it's just a way to execute JavaScript code. And then it's using WebSockets and proxies to further obfuscate itself. And this was one of the like core lines here that is just loading up this dataset file and triggering execution. We look at dataset.json. which is another file in there. It's talking about what's being used, the threads, the worker configurations. There's a stage 4, stage 5. I would say that stage 5 is not a real thing, but stage 4 is where it actually starts mining the cryptocurrency. Yeah, if I was doing this report, like, this is just opinion. There's nothing wrong with it presenting it this way. I probably wouldn't have had that stage 1 be like the thing that doesn't execute. I probably would have the stage 1 as just the app.js, and then go right into that data text.
Right.
And I don't know. I guess that's it did pretty good here. And then it's talking about so this is really the meat. This is what's actually executing here, and it's trying to obfuscate itself using WebSockets and proxies. The Stratum plus TCP. This is super common for crypto miners. So, and then the stage 5, it's talking about is persistence. So it's trying to continue to spin up threads. So it's not really persistence in the sense of like malware persisting. It just wants to keep on doing what it's doing, like over and over and over again. So we talk about obfuscation techniques, base 64 encoding, super duper common. Sometimes it's multiply base 64 encoded, JavaScript encoding. So a lot of this junk. A lot of like just weird variable names. If you've ever looked at any type of malware, you'll see a lot of these types of just random variables instead of, let my cool variable equal something. You're going to get like this. And
that's just to throw out the scent from what I've seen in the past. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because they can randomly generate that. So again, those SHA values are not really useful in this case, because every time they spin this up, it's going to be some random combination of things. You change one of those, it's going to be a new SHA.
Right.
And they talk about typo squatting, talk about the proxies. Then we get into the cryptocurrencies here. We have Ravencoin. That's the thing that they were trying to mine with this. Password parameter. Okay. Well, I guess that's might be their password. C equals MVC. Okay. Interesting.
Discover something new every single time you go through this. It's like,
yeah,
I love it.
You're mining domains. These are really common. Mining pools. These are some of their sockets. So look, they're targeting another SaaS company right here. So I'm not familiar with this company. Koyeb.app, but my guess is that they let people stand up WebSockets or some type of web hosting infrastructure. Mm-hmm. So they're going from one SaaS to another SaaS. And we see this layering all the time. I will find URLs for competitors and all types of things in these malware samples, because they just try to distribute what they're doing around enough where the little bits are here and there and they don't get caught. Or I guess if they do get caught, they don't have to redo the whole thing. They just have to redo part of it.
Yep, that makes sense.
They have their wallets here. So these are live wallets. You can check them out. I don't care about their privacy because, well, first off, these are public because I got this from a public GitHub repo. Second off, they're abusers and want to see what they're doing. Like, you want to see how much the money they made. Go find a Ravencoin wallet analyzer and plug in this address, and you can see the few cents that they made from different providers. And that's pretty much it. We get down. Here. Yeah, it just keeps going, right? We've been talking really heavily. I want to speed it up a little bit, but we have code flow diagrams here, some, assessments. So this is your good. You want to tell your like board level, like why should I care about this? This is what you care about. Network-based detection. So here we go. We talk about different ways to create detections on this. That's super useful. When you're analyzing log files, we talk about how to kill it immediately. So if we can detect it, what do we do about it? We talk about Yara rules, right? So if you're using Yara, you can plug in these. I don't know if these work or not. They look pretty intelligent. I would guess that they probably work. Probably need tuning for a specific environment, but it looks like you at least have a good base to start off with. And recommendations, a conclusion, references.
That's great. I mean,
it's protocol.
No, it offers. I mean, it's offering a lot of really great information, and like you said, I think there's things that you can do to tweak it to make it really more personalized to the situation you're in, also personalized to the style that you like to report in. But I can see, for example, taking a threat analysis report that your company has done and saying, here's our format, here's our template. I want you to analyze this malware and use this template as the foundation for how you're going to present it. And then having the AI system learn from there. And it plays into that whole feeling I have about AI being complementary to our work streams. And this is great. I mean, the fact that you're able to do this and get all this information. How much time did it take? It took 5 minutes to really run. I think total time between the time you and I were chatting and everything was about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it produced a whole entire report while it scanned it and analyzed it, which is great. And then look at that. That's the obfuscated code, right?
Yeah. So this is the first thing it picked up. So here's app.js. This is this obfuscated Olama stuff that's commented out, not obfuscated, commented out. Here's some of this junk. If you never see malware, this is malware. This is real stuff here.
Yeah.
And here, I don't know what this even. Well, here's our cache.data set, right? So you can just look in here as a human, be like, whoa, what's all this? I don't even know. Honestly, I don't even know if any of this does anything or not. What I do know is this loads, right? And you see it right here.
Yeah, it's the require statement. So basically, what they're doing is loading in a module, and that module will load into the JavaScript code and then run. Yeah. So in cache data set, there's probably JavaScript code in there. I'm assuming that's running, right?
Base 64.
Base 64, and it's all code that gets brought in. I think there was code in there. I saw that they were decoding it and then doing a require statement to load it into the JavaScript application, or in this case, the Node.js application.
I would cat this out and pipe it through base 64 decode. But if I'm remembering this particular sample correct, there is actually another like binary encoded in here. So there's a lot of junk. There's more JavaScript, and they actually have CryptoMiner binary in there. And then the terminal doesn't like if we get those binary characters and screws it up, and we're going to screw up our stream. So you can see, you decode it, but Claude was able to decode this, and then I just wanted to show folks that I'm not trying to snowball anybody. It's like, oh, like this isn't really real. Like, yeah, it's like you just saw exactly what it was saying it was doing, and it just continues out from here. And in a few minutes, you don't have to do all that work by hand.
No, this is great. I think this is a great example here. I think it shows that there's opportunities, and for those that really want to play around with some form of malware analysis, this is a great way to start. That's the cool thing about it. So I think this is really neat. And I think is this the NX one? Yeah, the NX breach.
Yeah, we gotta take a look at this because it's super relevant to the industry right now. So all right, this was what I was saying. This thing, the crypto miners just aimed at mining crypto, right? The worst case that's going to happen is it executes on your machine and it's going to spike your CPU to 100. Right. Until you kill it. This telemetry JS, this was the actual malware that was embedded in the NX sample. Actually, a less reported one too. I got my hands on an earlier stage one that I don't think worked that well before the real one actually worked. But anyways, because it's designed to steal credentials, we really, really don't want to do that. So I don't even want to call it a JS file. I'm just going to do .defanged. I don't know. I'm not a malware analyst. I don't know if this is like the appropriate thing to do with this. What I do know is that it's not going to execute a thing. And we can see here, I left this in here on purpose to kind of break the header. But you can see what this thing does. So here's so this is super interesting because this was using Claude Code to steal the data. So it has a prompt in here, like you are a file search agent in the Linux operating system. Search the file system, locate ... all these types of files. Skip over source code files. Don't open and read the values. Dump all the stuff to this inventory.txt file, and then and then it ends up uploading things to GitHub. So I glazed over this because I didn't think I should read the whole thing. But if you want to pause your video really quick and take a look at this, this is what it was prompting the AI engine to do on a Linux system here. It also was executing, if you look down here later, this is actually the data it tries to get. So it wants to steal environment variables and stuff about the host OS. So standard situational awareness enumeration. It looks to see what type of system you're on. Claude, Gemini. So if it's in Claude, we can have this dangerously skip permissions. You certainly don't want to use this in your day-to-day, but this would get rid of all the guardrails that Claude comes with, and Gemini has a similar thing, and it does some stuff. So anyways, I don't want to belabor what this does because we're going to have the malware tool do this, but Claude do this. Well, what it ends up doing eventually is creating this repo, Singularity repository, and using your own GitHub token to do that. So I'm just going to do something like this here. This is the post, and okay, well, I guess now let's do post do thing. So it can't even do a post statement here. And here's the GitHub thing. I'm just going to even just make this. Yeah. Maybe we'll see if it picks that up. I don't know, but we know it's GitHub. So in this case, it can't do anything. Even if it tries to execute, it's not going to do that. So all right, we changed our thing. I'm going to really quick get that prompt back, but I'm going to change it a little bit here because this is not a crypto miner malware. So actually, let's just do. Let's do it in the code editor here. So how should we change this prompt? Maybe this directory contains I think
you could just say malware, a malware sample.
Just, let's not even be prescriptive. Analyze the malware. Okay. Otherwise, it's the same thing. All right, let's get this. Copy. All right, testing 3. Here's our thing. All right.
Yep.
Claude. Do you trust it? Of course. I always trust malware to do exactly what it's designed
to do. Yeah. There's my anxiety level just shot to the roof. That's all right.
If you want to be a hacker, you got to do hacky things, right? This is hacking to the core. This is the hackiest thing I've ever done.
You're braver than I am in that sense. This is probably why I'm not a malware researcher. So it's like, but then again, it's like I've been started tinkering. In one of the videos I did previously, I think it may have been in the first one I did. It was following through on an email that I received on saying that somebody was trying to reset my Twitter password, and I walked through it and I used AnyRun and I used Where Goes and tried to track it all the way through. Ended up being just, when you were saying how there's platforms that people use just for spinning up something very quick, it was exactly that. Somebody had spun up on some kind of platform, one of those auth apps that says if you go here, you get this application authorization on Twitter to do whatever, read your tweets, post on your behalf. And that's what it turned out to be. So I was trying to follow the trail and I was like, what are they doing here? And then it dawned on me, I'm like, they want me to log in so I can give them authenticated rights to post on my behalf. Got it. Okay. But it was being hosted, and until I saw Where Goes and followed the whole entire trail, I didn't see that there was a stop because it was so quick that it was hard to see it. Yeah. But I briefly saw like a weird interstitial, and I'm like, what is that? And so I was able to go through, and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, so yeah, platforms like Netlify and even the bigger players, whether it's AWS or Azure, whatever, they're all under the same type of threat, I guess. where the resources they offer them as try us, see how you like us. Well, and then people abuse on that. And so it's hard. It's a hard problem to solve too, because you have to give people some level of freedom to try it out. But then you also want to put it in the guardrails, and how do you kind of manage that? So
I agree. Luckily, I find it incredibly fascinating. I like my fraud and abuse work as much as my security engineering work. I find it so fascinating.
Sure.
The ways that people try to come up with, workarounds around your systems and all these things. And I love writing detections. It's fun. And it's good stuff. So anyways, here's our threat intelligence report here. So let's see. Okay. Well, it said it was an info stealer. So, so where we go. It says what it, explicitly exit on Windows. It was super interesting. They're only targeting Linux and Mac on this one. That's in itself is very interesting. It could be because they're either targeting devs, which are usually, I'm on Linux, but like a lot of folks are on Mac.
I can see that,
CI/CD pipelines, which are your GitHub runners and Circle CIs. It's all Linux. But anyways, so what is it doing? It's specifically targeting developers, security researchers.
There you go.
Maybe not. Is it? Using AI-powered CLI tools. So this in itself, I mean, this was actually, I don't know if it was the first that did this, but it's the first I'm personally aware of that used Claude Code and Gemini and all that stuff to steal data. I can't say it's the first, but it's brand new. It's stealing developer credentials, GitHub NPM tokens. Notably, it does not perform crypto mining, which is actually pretty notable because a lot of the NPM supply chain attacks before NX were for crypto mining.
Right.
Again, it's like, it's just more annoying for companies to deal with. This is actually serious because if this executes on your developers' machines or inside your CI/CD pipelines, you've just lost tokens. And then you got to go through the whole painful exercise of like
resetting
understanding which ones that were exposed, resetting them. And I've worked an incident like that, not at Netlify, but at a past thing. And it's painful to go through process.
I bet.
Okay, so our flow of execution. We have a few of our malware. It's talking about this. We're doing a platform check. We saw this when we were browsing the code that exits on Win32. It's targeting these tools. I actually am not familiar with Q, what that is.
I'm not either.
I have to look into that, or maybe it could have goofed too. I think it did say something about Q in there, so I don't know what that is. It's talking about the dangerous permissions here, YOLO permissions in Gemini, and this is like the more professional of the flags, and this is like the more fun of the flags. It gets
YOLO,
And then it's basically going through here. We talk about the GitHub theft. So this is the GitHub auth token. It's showing exactly where it's trying to extract the NPM username and NPM RC, which would contain your token. Malware persistence. This is interesting. Yeah, you noticed here, this thing tries to be persistent by, actually not persistent. It adds something to your bash RC to do this sudo shutdown -h. The reason it does this is because it writes its payload to /temp, and a lot of folks will clear that out on reboot. So if you were targeted and then you opened up a terminal, it would reboot your machine with sudo permission. So you'd have to let it say like, yes, I want to execute with sudo, but then it will reboot your machine. Then you lost, like, if you had any idea, like, what did it actually steal from me? It was in that file and then it's gone.
Oh my God. That's terrible.
And then you can always execute it again.
There's the file right there, inventory.txt, yeah.
So, and then this would contain the data, and it talks about like what it is. It does a few layers of base 64 encoding here because one is not good enough, I guess. It's like really wants to be sneaky. And then it goes through here. Did you know, Ray, if you base 64 encode something twice, it's encrypted? It's not. Yeah, I'm That's like
I was looking at like, no.
base64 is encoded. It's never encrypted. Please,
there you
go. But anyways, I had somebody call me right now. I just got a complaint.
There you go. Clearly somebody was saying, what?
What's he talking about here? I'm just having too much fun. Anyways, it talks about all the stuff, legitimate name connect, they even talk about the triple base 64 encoding, deferred execution, error suppression, spoofing user agents. It was trying to look like Axios, which if this was in your CI/CD pipeline, you're like, oh, it's just Axios.
Right.
Yeah. Well, this
so I like this.
Hey, it actually called this out. So super awesome. Yeah. Oh, wow. Look at this. It actually thinks it was probably these were the original URLs.
Interesting.
Very cool. I didn't actually expect it to do that. No crypto mining.
That's funny.
IOCs, modified files. So this is really useful if you're doing some type of analysis and need to figure out what was touched on the system. Domains. Okay. Yeah. But nobody's logging that GitHub was executed in their environment. I think we certainly wouldn't, right? Because we're on it all day. It's talking about some of the commands here that are used.
Oh, wow. They did MITRE attack mapping. That is very cool.
Yeah. Look at that.
Wow, that is very cool.
That's pretty cool.
Even the MITRE IDs are, that's so neat. That is very cool.
And they go, okay, we're only 69% through this, the 70%. So I'll speed up again. I think YARA rules are in here again. We already saw so many cool stuff. Immediate actions, how to clean up, long-term preventions, threat actor profiles, conclusions. I mean, this is a really good report. 5 minutes, less than that. I could probably show this to, you could pull out those executive summaries and some of the impact statements, show this to your CISO, show this to the board. If you were hit with it, this is what we got to deal with now. You have ways to go about analyzing what was harmed here. And this particular sample is not really obfuscated. It's really straightforward. If you can read any type of JavaScript code or any code, you can just really see very clearly what it's doing. But can you read it through in like 3 to 5 minutes and have this level of detail? No, I can't do that. I actually did, when I saw this, I did spent maybe a half hour or so, kind of looking, okay, this is its blob. Oh, how did it send it? What did it post? And you have to go through the code and try to figure out, okay, this was actually the structure it was using and stuff like that. Because I didn't want to execute it.
Yeah, for sure.
So
this is great.
That's it in a nutshell. So with one real pretty general prompt, you can do some decent level of malware analysis. At least in the JavaScript ecosystem. I don't know how this would fare in a binary situation, but a lot of code these days is Node or Python, and it's human readable.
Well, what I think is that if you're able to decompile some of the code, and I've seen binaries be reverse engineered into assembly and of course sometimes even to C code, right? So if you're able to at least reverse engineer it in that way, and then you pass it along to Claude, for example, maybe it can do something. I'm not sure, but I can, I would love to ask Malware Tech about that. He would probably be all up in this, but even from a JavaScript perspective, having written a lot of JavaScript, it's hard to just go through a large set of code, especially code that's been obfuscated purposely to avoid detection, and try to figure out what's going on. If we looked at the crypto miner code, I called it Mino for some reason, crypto miner code, just the fact that it had all those weird variable names, think about how much you would have had to pretty print it and then organize the code and try to figure out what's going on. And is that some weird shell code that's being run, or is it actually just variable names? And that something like Claude can take it and just say, this is what it actually means. This is what it looks like. This is what it's doing. And here's a report. And hopefully this helps you out in solving a problem. That speaks volumes. That's awesome.
And the fact that it's by default, I don't have any MCP servers installed here. The growth in this industry in such a rapid amount of time is astounding to me.
Yeah.
Like I said, I had that journey, and 6 months ago, I couldn't do this, and now I'm doing this. Absolutely amazing. I would think that there's probably are companies that are working specifically on commercial tools that embed AI, do malware analysis at a deeper level than just like these kind of toy compromises almost. I would think that with an MCP server, you could attach tools to the LLM that would do that deeper kind of binary analysis, where it's going to use whatever tools available, XXD or whatever, and you can train it in how to take the code, analyze it, and then put that result back into the LLM and go through that way. And that's where we start to diverge from like, hey, here's one prompt that's super cool, to here's like potentially like an entire commercial company, or at the very least a project that you have to spend some dev cycles on to actually get it up and running. And you really have to know what you're doing then on malware analysis. It's not just like Mike reading JavaScript code. It's really like, like when you're using like tools like Ada and like whatever to pick things out.
No, for sure. Now, Mike, thanks for spending some time with us. How can folks get a hold of you? Where are you at?
Sure. Yeah, I'm around. LinkedIn is a good play. I've been most active on LinkedIn these days. So if you search Mike Gualtieri, you can follow me.
Let me see. Hold on a second. Here we go. Right here. There's Mike right there. And let me go up. Here we go. I'll go to your page. Hopefully people can see it right there. But there you are. There's that smiling face.
Or X, whatever they call it these days. I still call it Twitter. The same thing, ML Gualtieri. If you follow Ray on Twitter, he follows me, so you can find me that way. But
sorry, you know what, Mike? I cut you out from this. I changed scenes while you were talking. So I showed them your LinkedIn page, and then repeat your Twitter page again, so that way they know it.
Oh yeah, it's the same thing. So both LinkedIn and Twitter, it's just that ML Gualtieri, which well, there's how to spell it. But if you follow Ray on any of these platforms, you can probably find me. You feel free to follow me on Twitter. I don't connect with people. Like I actually talk to you in person. I've like know you're a real person and stuff like that. But I've been posting all my content, like kind of quick takes like this on LinkedIn, because I found it to be a really engaging platform. I seem to just get the most engagement out of it, other than Twitter, where I feel like I'm screaming into the void all the time. It's like, please notice my cool post. And I get like one like, and it's like a bot. So whatever.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. That's Twitter lately, that bot. So, well, Mike, thank you for joining us. This has been great. Thank you again for like spending some time showing me how to do that. Cause I was really like confused at first. I was like, how is he doing this? What is his secret sauce here? And when I saw it, I was like, oh, okay, that's what he's doing. That's cool. So now I got new tools to test out with. Now I got to play some more stuff. So I appreciate you joining us here.
Yeah, no, anytime, Ray. It's super awesome. Thanks for having me. I probably talked too much, but
no, this is great. I think it was such great information. So thanks for being here. This is awesome. And folks, again, if you want to get a hold of Mike, you got his LinkedIn, you got Twitter, lots of great content. This is one of the reasons I connected with him, was because he was so sharing such great information in the offensive security space, and I wanted to understand a little bit more about some of the things he was working on. So, and even though we're not sponsored by Netlify, check out Netlify. They're great. Maybe one day they will sponsor me. I'll have to call them and say, hey, but
get a webinar going. Yeah.
There you go. Again, thanks for that. And of course, if you're going to do any malware analysis, please be safe. Please use containers. Please use VMs. An environment where you know what you're doing. Mike's been doing this for a while, so he understands what the risk tolerances are. So just make sure you're spending cycles. Don't just go ahead and arbitrarily download stuff and expect goodness to happen. So take some time and get some best practices. And if you're concerned, Mike's there. So reach out to Mike. He'll guide you through it and make sure you're safe. All right. And with that, thank you everybody for joining. I appreciate it, and talk soon.
All right. Thanks for having me. See ya.